You can do it. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to solve this system of equations using the Gauss Jordan method. You'll see it's got x, y's and z's, and perhaps you wonder what it's got to do to with matrices and stuff. Let me first of all, before I actually go ahead and do it, just show you how you could write this. If you were to just use matrices, you could use a 3 by 3 matrix, and it would be something like this. You'd have a 2, 1 and 4. I'm just taking the coefficients in front of the variables, 3 and 1, 2, negative 1. If you multiply it by x, y, z, that would give you 3, 9, negative 1. And that's just a matrix representation of those three equations, and you would still do the same thing. Your rows across, you'd multiply by the column down, and you get the same thing as written there. So that's that same set of equations written in matrix form. But for this Gauss Jordan method, we don't actually use that form. We use what is called an augmented matrix. And it's sort of like that and related to it, and it looks like this. Here we go. It'll have just the coefficients 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, negative 1. But then it'll have the solutions as well, 3, 9, negative 1. Now that's how I write it. Some people will also put in a line there, and clearly representing the equal sign, or separating the variable part from the solution part. I generally don't bother writing that in because you just keep this matrix all the way. But you're welcome to do that if you like, and you'll see textbooks that do use that dotted line in there, or some other sort of form of separating line. I'm not going to use that, but you are welcome to if you like. We have to play around with this, and we're going to solve this equation just using this particular method. Here we go. So once you've written it all in as an augmented matrix, then you have to do this. We have to, I'm going to do some shuffling around with this, and you'll get the idea of what I'm doing once I actually start. The first thing I want to do, if I just write over on the right hand side here, what I want to get, this is my actual aim at the end. I want to turn the matrix into something that looks like that, because that would mean that I've then got 1x is equal to A. In other words, I can find what x is. 1y would be equal to B, and 1z would be equal to C. Now that's the aim of the game. That's what I'm trying to do. So this is what I'm trying to get that. Okay, you'll notice top left there's a 1. That's what we want to start with. Now you can see my rows here. I've actually got a 1 in the left hand side, but it's in the middle row. So the first thing I'm going to do is shuffle my rows around. Here we go. I'm going to have 1, 2, 2, 9. Then I'll put a different order, 2, 1, 1, 3, and 4, 3, negative 1, negative 1. What I've done is I've swapped row 1 with row 2. On the left hand side, you have to write down what you've done every time to the previous matrix to get the one that you're looking for. And that's just arrows going both ways. I've just swapped rows 1 and rows 2. Next. I did that first. Second, I want to get zeros in those two positions on my matrix. At the moment I've got a 2 and a 4 there. So here's how I make those 2s and 4s into zeros. I'm not going to be doing anything to the top row. 1, 2, 2, 9. The second row, I'm going to do row 2 minus 2 lots of row 1. You have to do things involving the rows. You can't just take away 2 or take away 1 or stuff like that, or you can't just take away numbers, but you can take away bits or variations on the rows around you. So I'm going to do row 2 take away row 1. That'll give me 2 take away 2. That gives me a 0 there. But then I have to do that for all the corresponding bits. So the next bit along, I've got 1, take away 2 lots of 2, which is take away 4, so that gives me negative 3. And I've got 1, again, take away 4 gives me negative 3 there. And then I've got 3, take away 2 lots of 9. So that's 3, take away 18, gives me negative 15. Okay. Now I want to get a 0 in the last one, bottom left-hand corner, and I do the row 3 minus 4 lots of row 1. And that will give me the 0 in the corner. There's 4 take away 4 is 0. Then I do 3, take away 4 lots of that. Now 4 2s are 8, so 3 take away 8 is negative 5. And I've got negative 1 take away 8, and that's negative 9. And then I've got negative 1 take away 36, and that's minus 37. Okay, so far so good. Now back to my little picture here. That's what I wanted to do second. I've done first get the 1 in the top left, then I get zeros below that. Third, I want to get that and that. Third. So now I want the 2 zeros in the next column along. The 1, well, yeah, I want to get a 1 there as well. There we go. Yeah, let me get my little rubber out. Write carefully. Third, I'll get myself a 1 in the middle, and then joint fourth. Really, it doesn't really matter which way round you do those two. The 0 above and below that. So third, I want to get that 1 in the middle, and then I'll get my 2 zeros either side. Okay, back here, I want to get a 1 in the middle where my y term is going to be. So I will do this. Top row is still the same for now. 2, 9. Middle row I'm going to change. 0, negative 5, negative 9, negative 37. I'm going to do row 2 divided by negative 3. And that will give me 1, 1, 5 3s are 15. 5. Okay, you can do any multiples or divisors of the rows and then add them or subtract them or whatever you like, but you can't just add or subtract numbers. That's important. Right, I've now got that. Now I'm going to try and get zeros here and here. Okay. I'm going to do row 1 minus 2 lots of row 2. That'll give me 1 there. 2 minus 2 lots of that will give me the 0 there. 2 minus 2 lots of that, oh, that'll give me 0 there as well. And 9, take away 2 5s, which is 10, will give me negative 1. My second row looks like this. 0, I'm not changing that this time. My third row, I'm going to add 5 lots of row 2. That'll give me a 0 there. Now minus 9 plus 5 will give me minus 4. And minus 37 plus 25 gives me minus 12. And I'm nearly there now. I'm now going to need to get a 1 on the bottom row. So my row 1 is okay. Oh, sorry, I don't need to write anything there. I'm not doing anything with row 1. 1, 0, 0, negative 1. Row 2 I'll leave for a moment. 0, 1, 1, 5. Row 3 I'm going to divide by negative 4. 0, 0, 1, 3. Now the last thing I've got to do is get that into being a 0. Sometimes you can combine more of these in one thing. I'm just spreading them all out very carefully so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So row 1, row 3, row 2 is going to take away row 3. 0, 1 takes 0 is 1. 1 take 1 is 0, 5 take 3 is 2. And from this, we have then 1x equals -1, so x equals -1, y equals 2, and z equals 3 is the solution to all that. Now, I might just stop the recording and just ask if you want to ask me any questions about any of that. So let me just